While I was in the hospital, MY children declared me dead. MY comeback shocked THEM. Please watch this video to the end and learn new things. The first thing I heard when I woke up was crying. Not the soft kind. The loud, dramatic kind. I opened my eyes slowly, my head heavy like a stone. White light burned my vision. Machines beeped beside me. My mouth was dry. My body felt weak, but I was alive. Very alive. A nurse noticed my fingers move and shouted, "She's awake." That was the moment everything changed. Because just hours before that, my children had told the world I was dead. My name is Margaret Wilson. I am 68 years old, a mother of 3, a grandmother of 5, and the woman my own children tried to bury while I was still breathing. I never thought my story would begin like this. I was admitted to the hospital after collapsing in my kitchen. The doctor said it was stress and high blood pressure. They kept me for observation. I remember my daughter Emily holding my hand and crying. "Mom, please don't leave us," she said. I believed her. I closed my eyes, trusting them. That was my mistake. While I lay unconscious, tubes in my arms, my children were busy. Not praying. Not hopping. Planning. When I woke up, the nurse asked gently, "Mrs. Wilson, do you know your children announced your death?" I laughed weakly. "That's not funny." She didn't laugh back. She handed me her phone. And there it was. A Facebook post from my son David. "It is with heavy hearts that we announce the passing of our beloved mother, Margaret Wilson. Funeral details will be shared soon." My photo was there. My birth date. A fake death date. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking. "I'm dead," I whispered. The nurse swallowed hard. "I'm so sorry." Tears rolled down my face, not from pain, but from shock. I wasn't dead. But to my children, I already was. I asked the nurse to help me sit up. My heart was pounding harder than the machines beside me. "Why would they do this?" I asked. She hesitated. "They've been calling, asking about property papers." That word hit me like a slap. Property. I owned 2 houses, one I lived in, one I rented out. My late husband, Robert, worked his whole life for them. He trusted our children. I trusted them too. I was wrong. Later that evening, Emily came into my room. She froze when she saw me sitting up. Her face turned white. "Mom," she gasped, you're awake." I smiled slowly. Surprise. She dropped her purse. This is a miracle." "A miracle?" I asked softly. Funny word. She rushed to hug me, but I raised my hand. "Don't touch me yet," I said. Her eyes filled with tears. "We thought we lost you." "Really?" I asked. "Because the internet thinks I'm already buried." She looked away. That silence told me everything. That night I didn't sleep. I stared at the ceiling, replaying every memory, every sacrifice, every time I chose them over myself. And I made a decision. If they thought I was dead, I would let them believe it. For now. The doctor said I needed rest. I nodded and smiled like the sweet old woman they expected. Inside, I was wide awake. The next day, my son Michael visited. He brought flowers and fake sadness. "Mom," he said softly, "you scared us." "I'm sorry," I replied. "I didn't mean to." He laughed nervously. "Once you're better, we should talk about arrangements." "Arrangements?" I asked. "You know," he said quickly, "just in case." I looked at him. "In case I die." "Yes," he said too fast. I reached for his hand. "Michael, promise me something." "Anything." "Promise you'll take care of everything if I don't make it." His eyes lit up for a second before he hit it. "Of course, Mom." That was when I knew. They weren't scared of losing me. They were scared of waiting. When they left, I asked the nurse for a phone. I called my old friend Linda. She was a retired lawyer and the only person I trusted. "They think I'm dead," I told her. There was a long pause. Then, do you want to teach them a lesson? I smiled. I want the truth. Linda came the next day. We spoke quietly, carefully. She told me the funeral announcement had spread. Neighbors were sending condolences. Even distant relatives were sharing it. My children were already dividing things. I closed my eyes. Then I said, let them. Linda raised an eyebrow. Are you sure? Yes, I said, but I want to watch. She nodded slowly. Then we do this smart. When my children returned later that day, I looked weaker on purpose. I let my voice shake. I don't think I have much time, I whispered. Emily cried loudly. David held my hand too tight. I love you all, I said. Promise me you'll stay united. We promise, they said together. Liars. That night, I signed new papers with Linda's help. Papers my children would never expect. I wasn't dead yet. But their lies were digging a grave they would soon fall into. 2 weeks later, I was discharged quietly. Officially, I passed away that morning. Linda handled everything. The hospital records were sealed. My doctor was confused but cooperative. Money talks. My children planned a funeral without a body. It was a private request, David told everyone. I watched it all from Linda's house. The live stream. The tears. The speeches. Emily cried the loudest. She was the best mother, she said into the microphone. I laughed. Then I cried. Then I laughed again. They sold my rental house within days. Too fast. Too gritty. Michael posted a picture with a caption, Mom would be proud. I turned to Linda. Are they? She smiled. Wait. A week later, they gathered at my main house to celebrate. Celebrate. Wine, music, laughter. They thought they had won. Then the doorbell rang. David opened the door and screamed. Because there I was. Standing straight. Alive. Smiling. Did you miss me? I asked. The room went silent. Emily dropped her glass. Michael fell back onto the couch. David whispered, Mom, you're dead. I stepped inside slowly. Funny, I said, so was your inheritance. Their faces changed from shock to fear. And that was when I knew. They stared at me like they were looking at a ghost. David's mouth opened and closed, but no sound came out. Emily's knees buckled, and she had to grab the table to stay standing. Michael's face turned pale, the color draining so fast it scared me for a second. I let the silence stretch. It felt good. Mom, Emily finally whispered, is this a joke? I tilted my head. You announced my death. You sold my house. You drank wine in my living room, and you're asking if this is a joke. Michael stood up quickly. You're not dead. I raised an eyebrow. Look at me, do I look buried? David stepped back like I might vanish. But the hospital said. No, I said sharply. You told the world I was gone while I was still fighting to breathe. The room smelled like alcohol and fear. Emily started crying again, louder this time. Mom, please, we thought you were dying. We were just preparing. Preparing, I repeated. Is that what you call selling my property before my heart even stopped? Michael rubbed his face. We were under pressure. People kept asking questions. Who? I asked. No one answered. I walked further into the room, slowly, enjoying the way they moved out of my path. I touched the table, my table. I noticed my photo frame was gone. Robert's picture, too. Where's your father's photo? I asked calmly. David swallowed. We packed some things. For what? I asked. Storage or selling? Emily sobbed. Mom, we can explain. I laughed softly. You already did, with your actions. I turned around and walked toward the door again. They panicked. Mom, wait, Michael rushed forward. Please, let's talk. I stopped but didn't turn. I am talking, I said. I'm just done listening. I left them there, frozen, surrounded by the mess they made. Outside, Linda waited in the car. "Well," she asked. I smiled tiredly. "They saw the ghost." She nodded. "Good, now comes the hard part." Back at Linda's house, I finally allowed myself to shake. Not from fear. From heartbreak. I sat on the couch, holding a cup of tea I forgot to drink. My hands trembled. "They never loved me," I said quietly. Linda sat beside me. "They loved what you provided." That hurt more than anything. That night, I dreamed of my late husband, Robert. He stood in our old garden, smiling sadly. "You trusted too much," he said. "I know," I replied in my dream. When I woke up, my phone was exploding. Missed calls. Messages. Voicemails. All from my children. I didn't answer. Instead, I listened. "Mom, please call me back. We can fix this. You're embarrassing us." That last one was from David. Embarrassing. Not sorry. I laughed bitterly. The next day, Linda showed me documents. "They already transferred the rental property," she said, "but the paperwork has holes." I leaned forward. Meaning greed made them sloppy. That was the first time I felt hope. Later that afternoon, Emily showed up at Linda's house. Alone. Her eyes were red. No makeup, no dramatic acting. "Mom," she said softly. I didn't hug her. "I just want to talk," she said. I crossed my arms. "Talk." She sat down slowly. "We didn't plan for you to come back." "I know," I said. She flinched. "David pushed it," she continued. "He said we should announce it early so no one would interfere." "And you agreed," I replied. She nodded, ashamed. "I didn't stop him." "That's worse," I said. Tears rolled down her cheeks. I was scared. "Of losing me?" I asked. She hesitated. That hesitation was loud. I stood up. "You can go now." "Mom." "Go." She left without arguing. 2 hours later, Michael came. Angry. Not sad. Angry. "You humiliated us," he said the moment he walked in. I smiled. "You buried me alive." That was different. I laughed. "Is it?" "You could have warned us," he snapped. "You let us look like criminals." "You are criminals," Linda said calmly from the corner. Michael turned to her. "This is family business." "No," I said. "This is legal business now." His face changed. "Fear." "I didn't raise you to threaten your mother," I said. He clenched his jaw. "You didn't raise us to suffer either." There it was. The truth. "You think I made you suffer?" I asked quietly. "Yes," he shouted. "You controlled everything, the houses, the money. We were waiting like beggars." I stared at him. "I paid your school fees," I said. "I fed your children, I helped with your rent, and you call that suffering." He had no answer. He stormed out. That night, the internet discovered I was alive. Someone leaked a photo. Me, standing, smiling. The comments exploded. "Wait, isn't she dead? This is wild. My condolences, never mind." My children were dragged online. Questions. Accusations. People were angry. Very angry. David finally called. His voice was calm, too calm. "Mom," he said, "we need to end this." "End what?" I asked. "This circus," he replied. "Come out publicly, say it was a misunderstanding." I laughed. "You want me to lie for you?" "For the family," he said. "There is no family," I replied. "Not anymore." He went quiet. Then he said softly, "If you don't fix this, things will get ugly." I smiled. "Oh, David," I said, "this is just the beginning." I hung up. Linda looked at me. "Are you ready for what's next?" I took a deep breath. "They thought my survival was the shock," I said. "They haven't seen my comeback yet." Outside, Sirens wailed in the distance. And for the first time since I woke up in that hospital bed, I wasn't afraid. I was ready. By morning, my name was everywhere. Not the sweet, rest in peace posts anymore. Now it was headlines. Woman declared dead by her own children RETURNS alive. Fake funeral, SHOCKS community. Neighbors I hadn't spoken to in years were calling. Old church members, parents of my children's friends, even people I didn't recognize. Linda muted the TV, but the damage was already done. My children were exposed. And they were panicking. "Mom, please," Emily texted. "People are harassing us." I stared at the message for a long time. Harassing. Not apologizing. I typed back slowly. "You harassed me while I was unconscious." Then I turned my phone off. That afternoon, Linda received a call. Her face went serious. "It's the police," she said. "They want to ask questions." My heart skipped. "Am I in trouble?" I asked. She shook her head. "No, but your children might be." We drove to the station quietly. My hands were calm, but my chest felt tight. I never imagined sitting here because of my own kids. The officer looked confused when he saw me walk in. "You're Mrs. Wilson," he asked. I smiled politely. "Still alive?" He rubbed his forehead. "This case keeps getting stranger." They asked me everything. About the hospital. The announcement. The property. I told the truth, slowly, clearly. When I was done, the officer sighed. "Ma'am, declaring someone dead when they're alive is serious." "I know," I said. "I read the post." He nodded. "There may be charges." I didn't feel happy. I felt tired. As we left the station, Linda said, "This is where things split. They'll either beg or attack." She was right. That night, David went live on social media. I watched from Linda's laptop. He looked calm, smiling. Too calm. "People are misunderstanding the situation," he said. "Our mother was very sick. Doctors told us to prepare for the worst." Lie. "We were grieving," he continued. "This is being blown out of proportion." Comments flooded in. Why sell her house then? Why a funeral? Why lie? David's smile slipped. Then he said something that made my blood run cold. "Our mother hasn't been herself for years. We believe she may be confused." Linda slammed the laptop shut. "That's dangerous." He was trying to paint me as unstable. Crazy. I felt my stomach twist. "That's what they'll do," Linda said. "If they can't control you, they'll discredit you." The next day, Michael filed a petition. He wanted control over my assets. Claimed I was mentally unfit. I laughed when Linda told me. Then I cried. "They're really doing this," I whispered. Linda placed documents in front of me. "This is where you fight back." Emily showed up again that evening. This time, she didn't knock. She rushed in, eyes wild. "David has gone too far." "You went far first," I replied. She sat down hard. "He says if we lose everything, it's your fault." I stared at her. "And what do you think?" She hesitated. I think we messed up." "Messed up?" I asked softly. "You tried to erase me." Her voice broke. I was afraid. "Of what?" I asked. "Of being left with nothing." That answer hurt more than the others. I stood and walked to the window. "When your father died," I said quietly, "I slept on the floor for weeks. I ate once a day so you could eat twice." She cried silently. "You were never going to have nothing," I continued. "You just didn't want to wait." She reached for my hand. I pulled away. "Go home," I said, "before you choose the wrong side again." She left. The court date was set quickly. Too quickly. Someone was pushing. David. The night before the hearing, Linda handed me a folder. "Are you sure you want to use this tomorrow?" she asked. I opened it. Inside were bank records. Messages. Audio recordings. Proof. My hands shook. This will destroy them, I said. Linda met my eyes. They destroyed themselves. I closed the folder. I didn't raise monsters, I whispered. No, she replied. You raised people who thought you'd never stand up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I sat on the bed, listening to the quiet. Then my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I answered. Mom, David said softly, we need to talk alone. I felt a chill. Why? I asked. Because if you go to court tomorrow, he said, things won't end the way you think. Is that a threat? I asked. A pause. Just advice. I smiled into the darkness. You already buried me once, I said. I'm not afraid anymore. He hung up. I placed the phone down slowly. Outside, thunder rolled. Tomorrow, the truth would walk into court. And someone wasn't going to survive it. The courtroom was silent when I walked in. Too silent. Every step I took echoed, and I felt every eye turn toward me. Some people looked shocked. Some looked curious. Some looked ashamed. My children sat together on the other side. Not united. Not anymore. David sat straight, jaw tight, pretending to be confident. Michael kept tapping his foot, unable to stay still. Emily sat slightly apart, her head down, hands folded like she was praying for a miracle. I sat beside Linda. Calm. Alive. Present. The judge entered, and everything became real. Very real. David's lawyer spoke first. He painted a careful picture, a sick mother, worried children, confusion, fear. Then he said it. We believe Mrs. Margaret Wilson may not be mentally stable enough to manage her affairs. I laughed. Out loud. The judge looked at me. Mrs. Wilson, please control yourself. I nodded. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I just found it funny that I was pronounced dead before I was pronounced unstable. A few people gasped. The judge leaned forward. Proceed. Linda stood. She didn't rush. She didn't shout. She simply told the truth. She showed the Facebook post declaring my death. The fake funeral notice. The property sale documents dated before any legal death record. Then the messages. Text messages from David saying, once she's gone, we split fast. Michael replying, don't wait too long. Emily saying nothing. Silence again. Heavy silence. David stood up suddenly. That's taken out of context. Linda pressed play. An audio recording filled the room. David's voice. Clear. Confident. She won't wake up. Let's finish this. Emily started crying. Michael buried his face in his hands. The judge removed his glasses slowly. This court has seen enough, he said. My heart pounded. I wasn't smiling. I wasn't happy. I was grieving. Because winning against your children doesn't feel like winning. It feels like a funeral you never wanted. The judge ruled quickly. The property sale was reversed. My assets were protected. The petition against me was dismissed. And an investigation was ordered. When the gavel hit the table, it was over. David looked at me. For the first time, not angry. Not confident. Afraid. Mom, he whispered as I stood up. I looked at him. I gave you life, I said softly. You tried to erase it. I walked past him. Outside, the sun felt different. Brighter. Linda squeezed my hand. You did it. I nodded. No, I survived it. Emily came running out. Mom, she cried, please don't cut us off completely. I looked at her. At the child I once rocked to sleep. At the woman who stayed silent while I was buried online. I didn't die in that hospital, I said, but something did. She broke down. I walked away. Weeks later, the noise faded. The internet moved on. People always do. I moved back into my home. I rehung Robert's photo. I planted new flowers in the garden. I changed my will. Not out of anger. Out of clarity. Some doors stayed closed. Some hearts stayed broken. But I woke up every morning knowing one thing. I was not weak. I was not gone. And I would never again let anyone rush my ending. Because this time, my life was mine. And the woman they thought was dead was just getting started. Thanks for watching. Kindly drop your comment about this story. And please subscribe to this channel for more interesting stories.